Hey guys, this is Dark Skeleton, and right before the GvG finally comes out officially, releasing the card packs, it looks like there's maintenance right now, so it'll be up in half an hour, probably by the time I have this video uploaded. We're going to take a look at the Goblins vs. Cards Card Clarification Roundup article, or forum post if you want to call it that, on Hearthstone.com, and this covers basically all of the tweets that the Blizzard developers for Hearthstone have sent out confirming or denying how certain card interactions work. So, to get started, we have Bane of Doom first. This is a card that's pretty much sucked for a long time, just because it has such a high mana cost. You theoretically could get out a 6/6 Dread Infernal, but you're more likely to get something kind of weak out, like a Blood Imp or a Flame Imp, so it's usually not worth just doing 2 damage and getting a crappy demon. So, the question is, can Bane of Doom summon Malganus? If not, has the demons it can summon changed at all in GvG? Soraya says Bane of Doom is not changed with GvG. Bane of Doom cannot summon Malganus. It will still summon the same demons as in Classic. Not currently. We've heard a lot of feedback on this so far, though. So, Bane of Doom being the same as it always was, I could kind of see why they wouldn't want to go out and change that already, because it could cause some game imbalances, but I mean, really, I think it needs the new demons in order to even be considered for any new decks. Even in these Demon Warlock decks that might start to come out with cards like Malganus, Bane of Doom just kind of sucks still. I like to play it for fun, but aside from that, it's a pretty iffy card, and I wonder if anyone will ever really be able to use it until it gets buffed. Next up, Bolvar 4-Dragon. That's, of course, the new Paladin Legendary, which has 1 health, 1 attack, 7 health, 5 mana cost. Whenever a friendly minion dies while this card is in your hand, gain +1 attack. So this guy can build up to a ridiculous number depending on how early you get him on in your hand and how long you wait to play him. Of course, he is weak to silence, but he could be a card that's good in more aggressive decks, possibly the ones that are running a lot of Silver Hand recruits. Muster for Battle, Quartermaster, that's what I'm thinking with this card. But it could also be good in a late game deck, because then you can just hold him the entire game, and after you play Tyrion, then you can follow it up with Bolvar 4-Dragon, or vice versa. So, Ben Brode says, increases in attack will display in your hand. Okay, I assumed that would be the case anyway. Your opponent will have no indication of you having Bolvar. Okay, that's good to know. When silenced, Bolvar loses his attack buff. Yes, I already knew that one. Bonus attack will reset upon being hit by Sap, Redemption, or Reincarnate. That's actually pretty harsh. So Redemption sucks with him. Reincarnate sucks. Well. You're not a shaman. You're not using Reincarnate anyway. You're the guy being hit by Reincarnate. So Sap and Reincarnate could be pretty good against Bolvar, which is kind of hilarious. I mean, turning a 27 into a 1/7 is a pretty big deal, especially if you sap it back to the hand and force it to be played for another 5 mana. That's like, well, yeah, that's like Freezing Trap almost. Freezing Trap would be great against this guy as well. Bolvar is the only target which gains bonus attack, not the hero. So sad. I don't know how anyone mistook that. I mean, that would be pretty damn hilarious if it did. Like, ooh, look at my 10/4 Lights Justice, get wrecked. Obtaining Bolvar directly from a player's hand through a spell like Mind Vision results in the clone being a 1/7, even though the original Bolvar is buffed. That's actually good to know. So Mind Vision isn't really used that often. I sometimes play around with it for fun. But yeah, that would kind of make getting a Bolvar not be the best thing in the world. So, interesting counterplays, interesting kind of thought steals you don't really want to have happen, that kind of stuff. Bouncing Blade. This card's good for Acolyte of Pain, buffing up a Gurabashi Berserker, and things like that, but it's also good as removal. If you use it with Commanding Shout, you can protect your guys from dying, and basically force the guy who's actually going to die to be your opponent's creature. But random person on the internet asks, if you use Commanding Shout and Bouncing Blade when you have 2 Armorsmiths and your foe has no minions, what happens? Stops when all your minions have 1 health. So, yeah, I guess what was in question there was, do your things take damage forever and you just endlessly get armor, basically breaking the game? I suppose not, and it's a good thing that it does it that way. It still could be good to play it, like something like that. You could get, let's see, 2 times 6 armor, 12 armor if you use Bouncing Blade like that. Probably not worth it on an empty board, but could still consider it. Blingtron 3000. Weapons summoned for each players only come from the collectible weapons. I suppose that means that ones that normally come from other card effects, like a Arathi Weaponsmith, you can't actually get. So you can't get that 2/2 axes that only Arathi Weaponsmiths can give you. Good to know. I originally thought that this card would actually have its own set of weapons that it draws from a pool of, but no, it appears that it can be basically any weapon from any class, as long as it's collectible. So I suppose that means you can get a Gore Howl, which would be nice. Burly Rockjaw Trog. So when you cast a spell, this guy gets +2 attack. So the question was, what happens if you use Shadow Madness on it? Because Shadow Madness would buff it up to 5 attack, but because Shadow Madness triggers, I believe, before the Trog, or actually once it's already been targeted, it doesn't matter what its attack turns into. In any case, if you cast Shadow Madness on a Trog, it becomes a 5/5, not +5 attack. I think that might have been a typo there. I believe it just turns into a 5/5. And then you can use that to swing at your opponent. So it could be some good anti-mage counterplay there. Shadowwood Pain. The Trog gets buffed to 5 attack, but it still dies because it's already been targeted with Shadowwood Pain. Cobalt Guardian. Cobalt Guardian. Who gets the Divine Shield, the Guardian or the summoned minion? It's the Guardian. Yeah, I guess it's not that clear when you read the card. Whenever you summon a mech, gain Divine Shield. To me, I always believed that it was the Guardian himself. Since if it doesn't specify who's gaining it, you would kind of think it's the card that's gaining it itself. But yeah, there's your answer if you were wondering about that. Okay, yeah. For a second there was an Enhanced Mechano, but that definitely is not a Dunemaul Shaman. With a 50% chance to hit a random minion, does that mean Dunemaul Shaman can get past taunts? Yes, it can also hit stealth. Now, I've been playing with these ogre creatures in arena mode, mostly the ogre brute. And yeah, I've actually had it where like there'll be a stealthed Shade of Naxxramas, and then I take it out with my ogre brute on accident, and it's pretty great. It's not always a downside to have the chance to attack the wrong enemy. I'd say overall, yeah, it is a penalty, but it can have situations where it's randomly good. Enhanced Mechano. Is Enhanced Mechano smart enough to choose only between Wind Fury, Divine Shield if a minion has taunt already? Nope. Yes. That's happened to me a lot, where I'll have like a Sinjin Shieldmaster on the field, and then it gives it another taunt, so kind of wastes the effect. But Enhanced Mechano, surprisingly pretty good, especially in arena mode. I like it a lot. I don't know about Constructed yet, we'll have to see, but I think in certain Constructed decks it will actually be good too. Will there be a good indication that what happened, or am I going to feel like a bug just happened sometimes? You can mouse over and see what he tried to give. Okay, yeah, that's something I didn't realize. So if it already has taunt and then it gets another taunt, you can see that it just got double taunted by hovering over. Cool. Explosive Sheep. Explosive Sheep plus Poison Seeds equals Equality Consecration for Druids. Yeah, actually, Poison Seeds will kill everything. Death Rattles happen, that then makes 2/2s. Wow, that's actually interesting. That's a good combo. 6 mana? Yeah, only downside is it kills your own board too, but that's about as real as removal has gotten for Druids so far. That might be a combo actually worth running. Interesting. Feign Death. Just to clear up a Reddit argument, does Feign Death simply trigger the death rattles, or does it remove them? It triggers them, not removes them. If it blew up your own minions, why would you ever play it? Yeah, Feign Death's going to be pretty good. It might actually make something like a Death Rattle Control Hunter pretty good. I was thinking Sneed's Old Shredder, Sylvanas, those kind of cards really could be solid. Fel Reaver, 5 no cards left, and my Fel Reaver discards 3. Do I draw 3 fatigues, or do I only fatigue more when I draw a new card? Fel Reaver won't trigger a fatigue? Wow. Huh, I assumed it would. That's kind of disappointing, actually, because the main counterplay of Fel Reaver is that if your opponent doesn't have too many cards yet left, you could try to mill their entire deck. Like, you play 3 cards, and that's 9 cards gone from their deck. Otherwise, you basically have to deal with it with significant removal, like a Shadow Word Death. And yeah, Felweaver might be a really good aggro card, especially in something like a super aggressive Zoo, or maybe even Mech Hunter. Mech Hunters do have that 3/3 that buffs all mechs by +2 attack, the wolf thingy. Flame Leviathan. What happens if I keep Flame Leviathan in my opening hand? No trigger. Okay, I was actually wondering about that one too. I was like, okay, you start the game with 2 less health on both players, but yeah, because you didn't draw into it, I guess it doesn't trigger. Gaslow plus Soulfire, now that it costs 1, equals get a mech card and then discard, or discard and then get a mech and then discard. Okay. How does Gaslow work with Sorcerer's Apprentice? Will Icelands trigger it, or Frostbolt? A 0 mana Icelands will not trigger Gaslow, but if 1 mana Frostbolt will. Huh. Interesting. I didn't even consider that. I'm not sure you'd really want to run Sorcerer's Apprentice with Gaslow. Maybe you would, so that you can pick and choose if you want to play your 1 mana spells for mech draw, or your or your 2 mana spells for mech draw. Gaslow, spare parts are 1 mana spells. Smiley face, yes. That was one of the obvious triggers you could do with Gaslow. Probably belongs in a mech deck. Spare parts, pretty good at triggering his effect. I still don't know if he's any good, because he's basically a Gadget Sand Auctioneer that requires specific kinds of spells. And given it doesn't burn through your deck, the cards you're getting are they going to be that much stronger than the constructed cards you put on your deck in the first place? I'm skeptical about them. Hobgoblin. Does Hobgoblin buff Silverhand's does Hobgoblin buffs Squire, Silverhand, Knight, and Totems? Nope, must be played from the hand. That's actually really disappointing. Yeah, but I think I realized that, though. Because another person was asking me about the, let's see, Implosion, which summons 2 to 4 imps onto the field, and then I took a look at Hobgoblin and was like, yeah, it says when you play a minion, not when it's summoned to the field, so I don't think it works with Implosion, and I guess that double confirms that as well. Great, so it's the same way with Muster for Battle / Pally Hero Power. Hobgoblin will not buff Paladin dudes. That's probably for the sake of balance. I mean, getting 3 3/3s for 3 mana and a Light's Justice would be absurd. Hobgoblin's still going to be great, I think. I want to try running him with cards like Jeeves, maybe those, Wind Fury Flying Machines or something like that, or the Mistress of Pain could be good as well, or yeah, I think that's the Mistress of Pain. Anything that has 1 attack might be considerably more viable here. We'll have to see. Maybe it would even make Morgashon Warden playable. That would be crazy. It is a 4-drop, so Hobgoblin into Morgashon? Maybe I'll play around with that. I don't know about that. What happens if Implosion overkills a minion? Like deals 4 damage to a 3/2. Well, I get all the 1/1s or just the target's HP. You get all the imps. So if you deal 4 damage to a 1 health minion, you still get 4 imps. Okay, good to know. I kind of question the value of that card still. The main problem is it's random damage. If you're playing a demon deck, like if you already have malganus on the board, then those imps would become insane, but I still kind of question. Iron Juggernaut. That's, of course, the mech legendary for warriors, which 6/5, battle cries, shuffle a mine into your opponent's deck. When drawn, it explodes for 10 damage. How would tracking interact with the burrowing mine? What about Thought Steal? Tracking and Thought Steal do not trigger the mine. Okay, so you have to literally draw into it from your deck. Would burrowing mine trigger Ice Block? Not if it's your turn, since secrets don't trigger on your turn. So, against a Freeze Mage, if your opponent is playing the Burrowing Mine from the Iron Juggernaut, you could get screwed over completely. You get dropped to 1 HP or something close to that. And it doesn't matter that you have an Ice Block because it's your turn, so the Mine would just kill you anyway. If you already have 10 cards, then draw a Burrowing Mine. Does the Mine still trigger? Nope, it goes poof. Not that you'd ever want to have 10 cards just to prevent that from happening, or would you? Maybe it's like a next level play if, like, you had 2 cards left in the deck and you knew one of them was the mine, and your opponent was going to fatigue, then you just mill the rest of your cards and you don't play anything. Yeah, I don't think that situation will come up more than once or twice ever. Can you thought steal the mine? What happens if you do? Does it count as drawing it? As previously stated up there, if you cast it from your hand, from thought steal it doesn't do anything, but it does count as a spell. Oh, okay, that's actually a little bit different. How much mana is it? 0? Okay, so you get a 0 mana spell. So good for Gadgets and Auctioneer. Is Burrowing Mine played when you draw it? If so, how does it interact with cards like Auctioneer, Mana Worm, Trogs, etc.? It is considered not played. That kind of contradicts that over there. Oh, when you draw it, okay, yeah. When you draw it, it counts as not played. But when you play it from your hand after thought stealing it, then it does count as a spell. Okay. If the Mine of the Iron Juggernaut is the last card of your opponent's deck, will it deal 10 damage and trigger fatigue damage? Yes. Oh. So, oh, I didn't even notice that part. When you draw into Burrowing Mine, you still get to draw another card. Actually, it would have been really, really freaking good if you didn't draw an extra card, you just get that as your card for the turn. But yeah, I can see why they made it do that. They just want to deal 10 damage. They don't want to put you at card disadvantage as well. By the way, Jeeves does not automatically kill fatigued people. He looks at your hand, decides how many cards you need, and then tries to draw that many. So Jeeves, of course, you draw cards until you have 3 cards, but if you are going to go to fatigue, then Jeeves is smart about it and doesn't draw you into fatigue as well. Otherwise, that would mean that if you were in fatigue but you didn't have 3 cards, Jeeves would keep trying to draw and you'd die instantly, but it doesn't work like that. Kazan Mystic. This card lets you take control of an enemy's secret, randomly. What about the situation if the secret Kazan Mystic would steal is the same as the one you have up? Does it simply destroy the secret? Always tries to take one you don't have. If that's impossible, then yes. Okay, interesting. Kazan Mystic steals Snipe, a mirror entity, without triggering it. Battle cries always trigger first. Ah, good to know. How does Kazan Mystic interact when played versus mirror entity? Battle cries resolve first, so when Kazan steals mirror entity, entity doesn't trigger. So I don't know if people are actually going to really run Kazan Mystic too much, because it's only really good against 2 or 3 classes at most. But could be good versus mirror entity. A good way to circumvent that. Light Bomb. Does spell damage affect Light Bomb? Deals damage equal to attack plus spell damage. Yes, it does. So, Light Bomb deals damage to each minion equal to the attack of that minion, and it does scale with spell damage, so good to know. Not that you'd really want to put spell damage minions on the board to buff that up, because your guys will die too, but besides the point. Light of the Naru. If Light of the Naru kills something with Akanai's Soul Priest out, will you get a Light Warden? Yes. And that might be one of the things that makes Light of the Naru actually pretty decent in a aggro kind of deck. That's what a couple people were talking to me about. They have these new shadow cards, like the 1 mana 2/1 that, when it comes out for priests, deals 3 damage to both players. The Shadow Boxer, whenever you heal a unit or a character. The Shadow Boxer deals 1 damage randomly to an enemy character, just like a Knife Juggler. And there's a few other cards that are pretty good for more aggressive priests. We'll have to see if it actually works. But Shadow Priests might be a thing. I don't know if they'd be running Shadow form, though. Malganus. This, of course, is the awesome new Warlock Legendary. 9/7 for 9, your other demons have +2/+2, your hero is immune. Lord Jaraxxus and Malganus interaction. Jaraxxus is immune, but doesn't get the +2/+2 buff. Okay? Does your hero still take damage from life tap with Malganus on the board? No, and you still draw a card. Yeah, I assumed that was the case. So, as long as you have Malganus, you basically life tap and you just pay mana, which makes life tap pretty good. It could also be a good late game card. It could also see it pretty good in Zoo. Or if you were able to Void Caller it out, oh goodness, your opponent would be pretty screwed. Next up, Malorn. Can we get Malorn from a web spinner? Yes, that's hilarious. I think I actually saw a picture of someone doing that in Arena. Which is funny because it's a Druid legendary. But hey, more power to web spinner. Malorn plus Baron Rivendare equals 2 Malorn cards added to your deck? No, you would have the one Malorn shuffled into your deck. That's actually kind of sad. It would be funny if you could make an endless deck just by using cards like Baron Rivendare. Oh well. Memoron's Head. Question about Memoron's Head in GvG. Does the head count as one of the 3 mechs to get V07 Shran, or is it 3 other mechs on the field? It counts. If you had to get 3 other mechs on the field, it would be almost impossible to get out, I think. But yeah, Memoron's Head is a mech. So yeah, it counts. Mistress of Pain, oh yeah! If you hit with Mistress while you have Akanai Soul Priest on the board, you will take damage, heal, damage, heal, damage till you die from it? Really? Whatever this minion deals damage, restore that much health to your hero. Wow, okay, I guess you die. That's pretty hilarious. Mogar the Ogre. The Mogar the Ogre effect is cumulative. If an ogre already has this effect, he will be tested twice to see if his attacks, if he attacks right. Yes, he will check twice. Mogar will try to confuse them, and then the ogre will try to confuse himself. I actually thought that that would not be the case because I would assume there would be some kind of crazy ogre deck where your creatures already have a 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy, and then you give your opponents that same downside by playing Mogar the Ogre. So, that being the case, I kind of question, what's the point of this card, really? Unless you have some creatures that your opponent really would not want to attack, like Explosive Sheep or something. I don't really know if there's too much value to this guy, but we'll have to see. I don't think he's all that special as a legendary, though. Muster for Battle. If I have a Sword of Justice equipped and then cast Muster for Battle, what happens next? Go. You get some 2/2s and then it breaks your weapon. Neptulon. Why is Neptulon not named Neptulon the Sea Lord? His actual title is Neptulon the Tide Hunter, but we'll pass the suggestion on. One-Eyed Cheat. Do you need to get One-Eyed Cheat to get /OME, or only those cards in the vanilla? OME. You only need cards from the original set to unlock those cards. Oh, they're talking about the pirate legendary, Old Murkai, I believe. Wait, no. Is it Old Murkai? Old Murkai is the Murloc, though. Well, yeah, they're not talking about Old Murkai. They're talking about the, Pirate's Parrot, I think? Is that the card you get for unlocking all the pirates? Yeah, you only need the original set to unlock these cards. Fair enough. Piloted Shredder. The minion summon can be any 2-cost minion that is collectible. It does not summon from your deck. Same with Sky Golem. Recombobulator. Can Recombobulator transform minions into any class cards, i.e. a Paladin versus Rogue could use it to make a Archmage Antonidas? Yes, and that's hilarious. Archmage Antonidas Paladin. Time to get fireballed to the face. Can Recombobulator transform minions into token? Example, Emerald Drake. Nope. Apparently it's only actual cards that you can construct a deck around. Recycle. Fatigue never resets. In examples of Malorn, Iron Juggernaut, Recycle, you will still get accumulating fatigue when you run out of cards. Recycle, of course, shuffles an enemy minion into your opponent's deck. So if they were at fatigue, it would put them to 1 card. But the fatigue does not reset. Sabotage. Can you combo it with an empty board to destroy a weapon? Yes, empty board is fine. Really? No, because it's a random enemy minion. Okay, interesting. That would be really sad if you had to play it like that. In most cases, I guess destroying a Gorehowl would be pretty good, but aside from that. Siege Engine. Does the Siege Engine gain attack per application of armor or per point of armor? Per application. Obviously, it would be way too good if you could do per point. Then Shield Slam would be +5 attack to a Siege Engine. This, of course, gains +1 attack whenever you gain armor. Sneed's Old Shredder. Can Sneed's Old Shredder summon Mr. Bigglesworth? Only collectible legendaries. Poor Mr. Bigglesworth. Not gonna happen. Tree of Life. If I'm playing Priest and Thoughtsteel, Tree of Life, and I like this one a lot. What happens if I play it with Arcanine Soul Priest on the board? Arcanine Soul Priest plus Tree of Life equals everyone dies. Does Tree of Life restore health to players as well? Yes, Tree of Life restores health to all other things. New, how does Tree of Life affect armor if a priest uses it with Arcanine? Armor isn't life, so if you're at 30 health and 1 armor when Arcanine is out, and you tree, you'll be at 1 health since you'll take 30. Right, so it doesn't interact with armor, you take damage equal to how much health you have if you use it with Arcanine. Undertaker. I don't think Flare was the reason Hunter was dominant, it was Undertaker. Why haven't you changed it? Did you think about it? No current plans to change it, but we're keeping an eye on it. Alright, so that's all for right now. I am going to be going and checking to see if the server's up. It probably is by now. And I'll catch you all later. Thanks for watching.